Hey everybody, it's September 1st, Thursday, This Non-Religious Life. I'm your host, Ken. Today we're going to be talking about Hurricane Irene, the earthquake, Pat Robertson, Michele Bachmann being kind of crazy, and, Jason's going to debut his upcoming book. What was it? How to Start a Cult 101. So, stay tuned.
This guy out here.
I thought I was a good Christian.
Jesus died on a cross. I go to church every Sunday. This guy out here. Then I read that Jesus died on a cross for a rotten hooker.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday. I'm a very religious person.
I thought I was a good Christian.
The very lies the serpent told to Eve in the Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and
Hey everybody, it is September 1st, 2011, This Non-Religious Life. I'm your host, Ken. With me we have Bob.
How's it going?
And Jason.
Hello.
And today we have a whole bunch of things on the agenda. First of all, as
We're on
everyone
the
knows,
comfy couch.
We're on the comfy
Yay.
couch. We got a seating arrangement.
And we have a new intro.
Yes, we have a new intro. Oh, I love it. It's
It's
great.
good. It's fun.
Yeah. It's excellent. I like the whole,
Looks good.
our names and
Yeah.
fanciness going on.
It's all fine. I was sitting around the computer and I was like, you know what? I'm changing this shit.
Yeah.
That's good.
Did you do that during the hurricane?
No, I revamped the website during the
During
hurricane.
the hurricane. I knew you were doing that. I was up in Richmond, and what a crazy event. You know, we just had an earthquake. Now we have a hurricane. You know, it's almost like the end times are a sign of God.
Well, we've been warned. That's what started this show.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. I didn't see any dead bodies being thrown out of the ground during the earthquake, though.
I was digging up some bodies.
I found a dead squirrel. Does that count?
Maybe. It's
Wait,
dead
did
times.
you throw it?
No, I kept my dog from rolling in it. That was what I did.
No.
Speaking of your dog, we're going to have a new photo of you on the website soon.
Me and the dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
I love that picture.
It turned out good.
Yeah.
But we'll show that later.
Yeah. But just so happens that, natural disasters is what we're talking about today, because anyone who hasn't been following the news, here's a news flash for you. Michele Bachmann is kind of nuts. She recently said
That's
Hurricane Irene and the earthquake are a message from God to D.C. that apparently God agrees with the Tea Party and we need smaller government. And we have a clip of that.
I do see Jesus as one who likes to be teabagged.
He hung out with prostitutes and...
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's like-
he might have been into that.
I mean, who is
I'm not
that?
even going to dignify that with a response.
Oh, come on, Bob. We just went off the slope.
You guys.
Let the hate mail come.
We're just kidding. We don't believe Jesus.
I wait for the day that we can read our hate mail
Right.
on the
What?
show.
I know we're getting derailed, but this is the only time I've ever seen anybody who wants comments to be hate.
I want it. I want to read it. It's so...
We've gotten so many good comments and emails and nice people
I
saying
know,
you're
and
doing
I
a
love
good
it.
job. And
I love it. I love it. It's great. It's the reason why we keep doing the show, but I want hate mail. I really do.
I'll start sending you hate mail.
Do you watch you guys know Penn and Teller?
Yeah.
Do you remember they used to do a magic trick that was it's basically the magic trick was cut and restored rope, but they used a snake and they did cut and restored snake, and they got a hate mail from PETA, and in their book How to Play with Your Food, there's a picture of them holding the letter and they're like they're reading it. They're like, this is how you know you succeed, kids.
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you ever seen the clip of Dawkins reading his hate mail?
No.
Oh, it's excellent. He's reading it, and it's vitriolic and just awfully worded, but it's so hateful, and it's great. And then there's actually in the documentary I'm an Animal. Ingrid Newkirk reading her hate mail too.
I'm
There's
in that
something-
movie.
Yeah.
I guess that's a measure of your success. If like you agitate somebody so much that they feel compelled to compose a poorly worded email or letter to you, and I'm hoping for something in uber caps lock because then
screaming.
then you know that person is really upset.
Ah.
And then when all this happens, we're going to get Dr. Robert Price to read our mail for us.
Yeah, you need that sweet voice.
In an accent.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Michelle.
And anyway, like I said, we have a clip here of Michele Bachmann talking about this the earthquake.
And I don't know how much God has to do to get the attention of the politicians. We've had an earthquake. We've had a hurricane. He said, are you going to start listening to me here? Listen to the American people, because the American people are roaring right now.
Yeah, so
She makes me feel all stabby.
Stabby.
She's awful.
it's like
She's so bad.
I don't understand. It's like the Republican Party, like they lost so horribly with Palin and her like over the top Christian nonsense in 2008. They thought maybe they'll double down.
That's what it
Like,
is.
You know, like let's up the ante slightly more. Maybe it wasn't over the top Christian enough.
I want Rick Perry to run for president and Michelle to be the vice president.
Oh God.
That would be awesome.
You know when you have the when you have
Fail
these
Fest
groups that are
2012, you know?
That's just this non-religious life content. That's all this is.
Oh, it would be a windfall for this show.
it's a gift.
I really would.
It really
I
is.
might
Christmas
start believing
comes
in
early.
God, you know, like because there's no way. There's imagine if they won.
That can't happen. That cannot happen. We cannot
Well-
live in a world.
4 years of solid content for the show. Like we would have to move to like daily broadcasts.
We could do that.
You know, hour-long daily broadcast show live.
Eventually, that's where we're going for.
So with that clip, she she said that this is a message from God, but then later on, she puts out another statement saying, like, guys, haha, I was just kidding around.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, she's like, no, I wasn't. I really meant everything I said.
Yeah, she's doing almost a better
That's like,
Pat
I'm kidding.
Robertson impression than Pat Robertson does. Like she can like the second you start linking natural disasters, especially the earthquake. Like that was the weakest earthquake in history. Like
It's just to get your attention.
It wasn't the weakest earthquake in history. The thing
Yeah,
with
because earthquakes
what they
happen
say
all the
was-
time.
It was, yeah, right. It was a magnitude
5.8.
All right, 5.8,
Yeah.
and so we felt it. So big deal.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't even feel it.
I felt it.
I feel screwed. I was at work, didn't feel it.
That's 'cause
People
you're such a
started,
heathen,
Like,
though.
people
You know,
were
I was in the mall
my
then
God.
too.
Oh my God! Did you feel that earthquake? I was like, what?
Yeah, my girlfriend and I, we were going to see a movie. We were in the food court
Yeah.
of MacArthur Center Mall, and we felt the earthquake. And I thought it felt like a big truck driving through the parking garage, and I didn't really think much of it. And then in retrospect, I was like, wow, you know, like that it really shook the whole building up, and nothing fell down.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
those.
It was like the text that I sent you. I was like, "Did you feel the earthquake?" And you got out of the movie. You're like, "What time did it happen?"
Yeah. But hey, come on, that's engineering, and you know, somebody made a plan and executed it, and the building stayed up.
Yep.
Yeah.
As
I
it
don't
was
know
supposed to.
if earthquakes factor into the engineering designs of Virginia buildings though. That was like the first feelable earthquake in like almost 200 years.
No, they were planning it. I mean,
They're
come
planning
on. They always plan for all types of disasters when they build.
I think that the
That was a joke.
the code that the buildings are built to has to withstand a certain magnitude. Like it is a consideration because it might happen, but it's the risk and reward thing. Like you don't make the building to withstand a 7 or an 8 because you'll never see one. You make it to withstand a 5 that you may see in 50 years.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not a civil engineer, so I don't know the particulars. But somebody thought of that. But
Let's call up. You know who is a civil engineer?
Yeah. Harold Camping.
Hold on.
Let's give him a call.
Hello.
Yeah. Call brother Mike. Get Harold on the phone.
Yeah, right. Apparently, the Washington Monument has a crack in it, and they're saying that's a sign from God too for DC to change its ways.
You know how many times they've redone that monument?
A whole bunch. If you go, you can actually see when they built it. It took several years, and you can see like the striations in the stone.
You know, if you're a political movement and you want to have God on your side, I don't know, I keep popping in. if you want to have God on your side, of course you would bring in these natural disasters because it is a heads I win, tails I win situation. Something bad happens, you say, "Oh my God, that was God punishing us. You should listen to me." And something good happens, like you're missed by a hurricane or it doesn't hit you or it's not so bad, you say, "Oh my God, our prayers work. God listens to us. See, you should follow our cause." Like, of course you would say that. Why wouldn't you? That's like I don't know, that's cult leader 101.
Which you can get the book from Zombie Popcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Written by Jason Bayless.
Coming soon.
Jason, you now have to write a book called Cult Leader 101.
I mean,
Well, no, because we'll get derailed. But yeah, I've started on something similar before.
I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you make those statements? Because you have nothing to lose and everything to gain by making them.
It just I love when stuff like this happens because it's like it's one thing when it's like a huge earthquake. Like remember the Haiti earthquake a couple years ago, like.
Right, because they're a decadent population and they have too many gays there, and so
Pat Robertson was saying it was because they made a deal with the devil.
Right, yeah, deal with the devil. Right, of course.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Deal with
And
the
I've
devil.
been working my whole life, and I still have not made a deal with the devil.
I know.
I mean, I'm working to try to get a deal with the devil, but he's just not.
He's busy.
And didn't Robertson say that he prayed away Felix in '95, and then and then Gloria in '84, I think that was.
Yeah.
You know, so nothing bad happens. You go, oh wow, our prayers worked. And then when there's tragedy like Katrina, see guys, that's what God does to you. Fuck, God, I hate it when they do that.
But it's like this earthquake. It happened like, oh, this is God's warning. What kind of warning is this? It was so weak. Like almost like some stuff shook. Maybe some stuff fell off some shelves. If that's God's warning. Why?
Well,
why would you even care what God has to say after that? Like God is apparently impotent.
Well, no, he was just. God was just giving the warning to the people who felt it.
Oh, right.
Because the people who didn't feel it don't need whatever warning that.
I don't need a warning then.
I need a warning.
God.
So did you see that one of the unfortunate deaths associated with Irene was a little boy in Newport News?
Yeah.
Who was like I don't know. I don't know all the particulars, but apparently he was literally asleep in his bed in his crib or something like that, and a tree branch was blown through the window and into his room and killed him.
Wow.
And so I see all these comments that are being made about Katrina, or I'm sorry, Irene as the God's judgment or whatever, and the best response to that was like, well, apparently God killed that child for being childish. There's no
Right.
Like, so what kind of warning is it when God kills an innocent child who doesn't even didn't even do anything, just sleep in his bed? I'll show you.
Well, it's like
That's awful. That's despicable. I don't want that guy.
when there was all that flooding in Australia. Like I have a few friends in Australia, and one of them, I mean, is fairly religious, and she was like, she's doing the relief work, and she's like, I can totally see God's work here. And I was like, was it God's work when all those innocent people lost their homes and lives? Where was God then?
Yeah.
He does it to bring people together.
Yeah. Feel the power of God. So I'm sure you've all seen that movie, The Invention of Lying, which I thought was pretty
I
brilliant.
didn't see it.
Ricky Gervais, like, he tells a lie and essentially makes up God, and everybody believes him. And because it's a world where nobody would even think to lie. So whatever you say, you must be telling the truth. And he's telling people all these great things about God, and he's like, so you mean God saved me in that accident? And he's like, yeah, it did. And one guy says, like, so you mean God cured my cancer? And he's like, yes, exactly. And then the guy stops him, and he goes, well, wait a minute. Didn't God give me the cancer in the first place? And he's like, well, yeah, but it's more complicated than that.
It's always more complicated than that.
God has a plan. Fuck that plan.
Yeah, right.
Bob is aggro this morning.
I know. These are the kind of things that like really agitate me, because it's talking out of both sides of your mouth. It is a heads I win, tails I win situation. It's inane spin doctoring and apologetics. It just drives me up a wall.
But I think Michele Bachmann did this, even though they were. I would imagine that they knew they were going to have to retract this or make a counter statement, because if she say it, then all the Christian fundamentalists that will have her, she'll have their support. Even if she retracts it later, because they'll do the same thing and say, well, she had to because the heathenistic nation of America would not accept it, but she's really in our in our camp.
Oh, of course, that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
she says like, hey guys, like I was just kidding around, and then at the same time she's like, I don't know. Those kinds of religious statements and proclamations and judgments have no place in politics whatsoever. None.
I don't know what country you live in.
I know, right?
But they belong here.
That just I know that's just eroding. Just looking at her, you just know that she would just tear down the establishment clause as soon as
Oh
she
my
could.
gosh, she is totally working on that. And I'm not going to go into great detail because I'm going to cover it when we record the next episode of The New Architects. She has already said that she wants to take away, that environmentalists are trying to destroy of America, and when she gets elected a president, she's going to make it where we can drill for oil and national parks and all that,
Everglades.
and the Everglades in Alaska, in places that are protected. And she said the first thing she's going to do is to walk into the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, turn off all the lights, tell everybody to go home, and lock the door and throw away the key to get rid of it. So she wants to get rid of anything that's going to protect our environment while she's going in to destroy the environment. And what would make this relevant for this show is that she would take God's creation and destroy it for her own means.
Dominionism.
Well, that's
her spin on.
yeah. But
Genesis.
also,
But no, in the history of everything in this world, you never hear about. There's a reason why you never hear about it, but time and time again, civilization has done nothing but destroy the environment. That's why we have vast deserts, an area where there was once forests and stuff.
well, we're not. I mean, we're arguably the best at it, but we're not the only ones that do that.
I'm not saying. I said in the history of the world, not the history of the U.S.
No, but I'm just talking like as biological entities. I mean, there are huge herds of cattle that will change the landscape and change their environment, and locusts eat everything in sight, and there's some animals that have.
But the difference between the locusts and stuff like that will change environment. They relieve the environment where it can be. It's not in a complete devastation.
No, I understand what you're saying. In the natural world, there are checks and balances, and things kind of even out, and most of the time things are on an even keel. But occasionally it goes off kilter. There's some times that species will have huge population booms, eat everything available in the environment, lay waste to the landscape, and change it forever. And then they have like mass die-outs, and the population goes back down. So and they've changed their environment, but what I said was that we're the best at it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we arguably are the best at it, and
that's
you know,
not
we-
necessarily a good day.
right. And we operate in such a way that the checks and balances don't necessarily even apply to us anymore.
Well, mountaintop removal and
Yeah.
clear cutting are easy targets to highlight how we change the environment, and there are not ways in our lifetime that will ever be returned to a sustainable.
Right, but you're absolutely right with that. But someone like Bachmann, who has, I don't know, these crazy God notions in her head. One, it's like you said, it's dominionism. Like, these things are here for our use. There's no concept of stewardship, and why bother saving it when we're all going to get raptured into heaven very soon, any day now?
And that's my problem. I mean,
There's no sustainability with a thought pattern like that. None at all.
it's so self-destructive, and it drives me nuts.
It's short-sighted and it's self-destructive.
Yeah. Because I don't know, just the fact that they're like, I don't care if you believe in a God. I don't care if you believe in unicorns. As I've said 100,000 times, I'm very apathetic when it comes to...
Who doesn't believe in unicorns?
Oh, I mean, there are some people who don't. But I'm very apathetic when it comes to people's spiritual belief, no matter what that definition is. Where it drives me nuts is when it overpowers others, whether that's the other is animal, human, or environment, and does nothing to benefit, and it does everything to destroy. That's where, as you would say, that's where it destroyed me.
Gets me all spun up.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's also part of I think that's part of dominionism is not only do you establish yourself as the dominant religion, but you impose that religion on others.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I mean, combining dominionism with what happens at the end of the Gospels with the Great Commission, like sending everyone out to subdue the earth again. So it's like, take the earth, it's yours, destroy it, just kill it, rape it, as what Ann Coulter says.
yeah.
And then, and then make everyone Christian as well, so they can do the same thing.
But hasn't the definition of dominion been lost in translation? I mean, because I've heard the argument. The reason I bring this is because I've heard many people say that, well, dominion actually doesn't mean way it's being perceived today of ruling, controlling. It's actually is taken from a translation of stewardship, of what a nurse or a mother would do for a child. We have the knowledge and the power and the ability to take care of things, of things being God's creation. So therefore we should do it in the best ability of what's good for the earth and good for God's creation, not, oh, well, we have God on our side, so we can fuck up anything we want.
Well, I think that the subtle distinction between those definitions is one is an obligation, the other is a right.
And that's what I'm saying is, like, I guess Ken's looking it up. I've heard many different stories. There's been loss of translation of what that actually means. And the original text, I guess, the original text of what we understand to be the original text would probably be the best.
Okay,
source.
So sure. So now you have a state religion, and it's maybe it's done out of a sense of obligation, and maybe it's done out of let's coddle and groom everybody to grow up and be nice, loving Christians, because.
But that's what the Bible teaches.
Even though it's done in a nice way, that's still imposing religion.
Well, no, and I'm not saying that we should impose it, but I'm just saying for it to follow the idea of to be a good Christian, and if the word has been taken out of context, over translation, lost in translation, of taken from being a steward to the world to being a dominator to the world, there's something wrong there. There's something lost in the teachings.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very fine argument, because apparently the word is rada, which means to rule, to have dominion, to dominate, to tread down, or to scrape out.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And architosin is the word that appears in the Septuagint, which is Greek, and it has roughly the same definition. Let's see if I can't get it. Come on, give it to me. Give me the.
You know, translational differences aside, I don't see how you can paint that as a cuddly, fluffy idea. It's not. It's,
Arco is to rule. So yeah.
Well, I'm just saying this is the arguments that I've heard.
Again, that's apologetic spin doctoring.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in my opinion.
So you're saying by definition, what Michelle and what other Christians believe, that it doesn't matter if we destroy environments, species, and other people, as long as we're doing it in the name of God. Then that's what the Bible actually teaches when it comes to dominion.
As far as I understand, yeah. The problem with Hebrew is that for hundreds of years it was a dead language. It only recently came back into vogue. Like, Jews before the 1940s usually didn't speak Hebrew. They spoke Yiddish.
I thought Yiddish was a form of Hebrew.
It
was like a slang Hebrew, wasn't it?
It's an amalgamation of Hebrew and German. It's like it's an interesting language. It's related to Hebrew, but it's not Hebrew. And Hebrew was a dead language essentially. It was only used for scriptures, the same way that like Latin is only really used in like the sciences. No one speaks Latin anymore, and so the definitions of a lot of words were lost. It's like the word for unicorn that appears in the Bible, in Job. They took that word in Hebrew, and it used to mean unicorn. And then when they repopulated the words and started giving them modern definitions, it became like a wild ox, like an aurochs. But when
Does that mean that the translation was lost, or that the naming of whatever species was at a time
the
known
language
as
itself,
a unicorn?
Like the language itself, they had the words and they started attributing meanings like, oh, this must mean this must mean this, based on
without evidence of understanding of what that word truly meant when they wrote it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because like with the unicorn thing, when you look at the Greek version, the word is monokeros, which means one horn. Mono, one, keros, horn, one horn. Aurochs don't have one horn. It doesn't mean an aurochs.
Well, maybe then unicorns are real. I mean, it's not uncommon for species to die out.
Unicorns are found in the Bible. We all know they're real.
God said it. I believe it. That
I did not know that unicorns were in the Bible. That's crazy.
Let's see. A couple times, actually.
It's about time. They're misunderstood creatures.
What?
They don't appear in. They only appear in the KJV. Let's see.
That would just be another example of, we'll forget that unicorns are in there, but we'll point at, Leviathan, and show that, dinosaurs are in the Bible.
Unicorns in the KJV appear 6 times. Numbers 23:22, Numbers 24:8, Job 39:9, Job 39:10, and Psalms 29:6 and 92:10. And all the time, right here, monokeratos in Numbers 32:22, one horn.
Well, that's good to know, man. I can't wait to...
Unicorns.
Now we're going to have to change
Dragons.
our logo again.
The word... yeah, I know, right? The word dragon appears 29 or 19 times, something like that. Hold on. 19 times in the KJV.
So we have dominion over unicorns, too, now.
Yep.
That's why
Unicorns.
they're dead.
Yeah, right. And dragons.
Oh, my God.
Well, there's a lot of cultures who believe in dragons, so... Not just Christians.
No. It's true.
I
want a dragon.
I want to have dominion over a unicorn.
You just want the horn.
Nah. They fart rainbows and poop marshmallows.
Have you Do you go to the oatmeal.com?
Yeah, yeah.
You know the like what is it, like 8 great reasons to date a unicorn? You can use them as a parachute and like eating
That's
their feces
exploitation,
makes you
man.
immortal.
Maybe that's what the tree of life was. Unicorn
Yep.
feces.
Yep. Oh. That's great.
Well, I didn't. That is that's my new lesson learned today. That
Unicorns are in the Bible.
unicorns are in the Bible.
Yeah. The more modern
Yeah.
translations usually translate it to like a wild ox or something like that, but
I would say it'd be a wild ox.
if you're translating from Greek, it's definitely unicorn.
Going to reference the Talking Dead, the other podcast we do. We did a segment on carnivals and freak shows, and they used to use goats that had birth defects because sometimes they would grow with one horn, and they would use goats with one horns to be unicorns, and they would do their "come check out the live unicorn," they would do special lights and mirrors and stuff.
I've seen instances where they take infant goats and transplant the horn buds together,
Yeah.
and reposition them on their head and then let it grow.
And I mean, the reason why narwhals are so rare now is because they used to hunt them and sell the horn,
Yeah,
the tusk that they have.
Fun times.
Yep.
good times, good times.
USA and other countries.
Yeah. All right. Just what you were saying earlier about talking out both sides of your mouth, with this hurricane. I just found this.
In Texas, we call that talking out of your ass.
And your mouth at the same time. Apparently, Pat Robertson prayed to God to send Hurricane Irene out to sea at the end of his last Thursday broadcast, but said that if it does hit us, then it's another one of those birth pangs, because he claimed that the earthquake was a sign of the second coming.
Of course, you would say that.
I saw a sign on the street that warned me of the second coming.
What is it?
I don't
what
need
do
an
you
earthquake.
call it? 2,000 years of any day now.
Any day now.
Man,
I know.
that's like spin doctoring at its worst. Anything that happens, anything at all, you could go, "Oh, see, that's a sign."
Why does it have to be a natural disaster, though? Why does it have to be something that, is epic, like an earthquake? No matter how small it is, earthquakes are awesome.
I think that it would be. I think that usually it's natural disasters because they are the broadest in impact. Like they have the biggest impact, the highest death toll, right?
And isn't it something that there's because people don't understand earthquakes when they experience, because it's something you can't see, feel, touch, smell, taste, but it's causing you to go, oh, and has a spiritual element to it, like storms and wind and.
I don't think it's a spiritual element. I just think.
Well, I'm just saying that you can put a spiritual element in there.
No, I just think that a natural disaster is the biggest bang for your buck, man. You're going to claim something's the wrath of God. Of course, it's going to be a natural disaster. They didn't, you don't carpet bomb a city and say that was the wrath of God. That was the wrath of whatever nation was doing it.
Yeah.
So you can attribute a secular cause to it, or an earthly cause, but nobody caused an earthquake. They just happen. And so there's things that just happen you have to assign to God. But if there were to be like if we had another Chernobyl occur, right? That didn't happen to any earthquake. That didn't happen due to a storm or the tsunami like in Japan. Chernobyl was operator error. It was a poor design.
But that was the way God telling us that we should not be using.
But somebody could. I bet if we look back, you could find evidence where people said that Chernobyl was, God smiting the communists or something.
Well, they you don't even have to go back that far. You can look at 9/11, and when the planes went in the towers, people even said,
Yep. It was because God was angry
Right,
with America.
and
that was not even spiritual, biological. It was just.
That's what I mean. Anything with a high death toll or a huge impact,
does it have to be
everybody
just-
says that's going to be God's judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it have to be destruction?
And the only reason that you get earthquakes and tornadoes is because that's the biggest bang for your buck. You get the highest death toll.
I think
anything
also,
else that happens with a big death toll will be attributed to God's judgment.
I mean, natural disasters.
We should test this theory. No,
considered like some sort of like divine punishment, but they happen, and it's not like it's an easy prediction. You say an earthquake. Do you know how many earthquakes happen every day?
A lot.
A lot.
You know how many
day.
Texas earthquakes happen in Texas every day? A lot.
Yeah.
Really?
Never felt one in Texas.
Never felt one in Texas, but my mom had this running thing for a long time because she didn't believe me that earthquakes happen in Texas. So I sent her the
U.S. Geological.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just of Texas because it will show the little blips on the map of when an earthquake happened, what the size. And she was obsessed with it for the long time. Every day she would text me. One just happened in location.
Yeah. No. Yeah. First time I moved to California, I was obsessed with it because I felt my first earthquake there, and I was like, holy shit! Like the whole house just shook. It was only like a 4-point something, but it was only like 10 miles away or something from when I was living in San Francisco. So I was like, the whole house I was in was like, and it was just like one shake like that, and I stood up and I was like, what the fuck was that?
Well, because it's that element that you can't see it, taste it, feel it, but it happens.
Yeah.
And because this is my first earthquake, and it was not very big, not very impressive in terms of what earthquakes can be, but I was impressed with it. I was because I was in a grocery store and there was kids on the other side of the aisle, and I thought they were grabbing the shelves and shaking it, and I'm like, whoa, those kids are gonna knock that shit over. And I put my hand up, and then when I put my hand up, I could feel my feet kind of moving, and I was like, wow, this is crazy.
You felt the presence of the Almighty.
I felt it, but I also felt kind of motion sickness, and and then when it stopped, it went away, and I was like, that's awesome.
Didn't feel it. I ran into Miley, and she said she didn't feel it either.
She was so mad. She said she was walking from her work to a fast food restaurant,
to Subway or something. Yeah.
And she opened the door, and it happened during her walking to it. She opened the door, and she said everybody in there looked fucking crazy, and they were just like, just really weird. And she's like, okay. So she orders her food and walks out. She's like, man, those people are fucking weird. She's like, all the customers and the people working there were just like, just like on drugs or something. And then she got back in the office and got my text, and she was like,
I'm pissed. First big Virginia earthquake in 200 years, and I missed it.
There'll be more.
I think if you wanted to
I mean, it's an election year. There has to be more. God's listening to politicians.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you wanted to cut your teeth as a psychic personality, just make a prediction that there'll be an earthquake or a tornado or a hurricane. Just do that. Just make some broad blanket statement that okay, and my prediction for the coming year is that there'll be turmoil in politics, and then an earthquake will hit California, and a hurricane will hit the East Coast.
Wait. I have it. Here's my prediction for this non-religious life. I feel that in the near future, there will be a mass gathering. Shortly after this gathering, there will be a migration that will cause this show to change its format.
Oh yeah, that's profound. Can you put it in a quatrain like Nostradamus?
That's gonna happen.
But even if there isn't an earthquake that year or tornado or a hurricane that's devastating, just make the same prediction next year, and you ignore the fact that your prediction didn't come through, and you just keep saying that, and then when it happens, you go, "See, I told you."
But Harold Camping's been doing that,
right? Yeah. But I'm really curious to see what happens because he really
October 21st is coming up.
Right. He made his prediction wasn't vague; it was very specific.
Yeah.
And then they do this backpedaling and more spin doctoring about the spiritual rapture.
Such horseshit.
But now October 21st is coming up, and
that's supposed to be the end of the world.
That'll right. And now they're really confident that that's gonna be the day. That's their prediction. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. That's going to be awesome.
Now, I am pissed because I'm not going to have another Halloween.
I'm pretty sure we will. Don't change your plans because of what Mr. Camping has to say.
Damn it.
Ugh.
And I found out that in Iceland they don't celebrate Halloween when we celebrate Halloween. I was looking forward to going over there and collecting so many fucking Viking Halloween trinkets and shit.
Do they have Halloween in Iceland?
They don't. They celebrate something similar to Halloween on, I think it was like Ash Wednesday or something.
Yeah. Ash Wednesday.
It's a weird day to celebrate Halloween.
I know, isn't it awesome?
God.
When is Ash Wednesday? Because I think we need to do the
we need to get somebody. I'll make connections when I'm over there. So.
Ash Wednesday. It's usually in like January, February.
We need to do the Chiquita Banana Day too.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love Ash Wednesday because it's the day after Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
And Ash Wednesday starts the beginning of Lent.
Right.
But like, have you guys ever been to Mardi Gras?
Yep.
No.
Okay, I was at Mardi Gras 2 years ago. And Mardi Gras is a whole season.
Mm-hmm.
It starts at the Epiphany and ends on Fat Tuesday, the Mardi Gras season. And it's like a gigantic party. And I feel like it's almost like, it's all debauchery. It's crazy. It's like, get everything out of your system before Lent. That's what
Right.
it is.
And that's how I always understood it, was
like
one big party before we have to stop eating meat or whatever it is you do
like,
on Lent.
Like, you get a whole month to shove anything you want anywhere you want, and then you have to stop 40 days.
And what's funny is that's true.
It's true.
That
if
shit
you've ever
happened.
been to New Orleans, yeah. I was there for the Croix de Vue, which is like the crazy, like, sex-themed parade they have.
Good times.
Like 2 years ago.
Those
Crazy.
good Catholics, right?
Oh, yeah, man. You know, though, I grew up in a family of French Catholics, and that's, makes sense. They're so sexually repressed that they need an outlet.
Everybody needs an outlet. It doesn't matter what religion or non-religion is. Everyone needs an outlet.
Mm.
It gets quiet over there.
Yeah.
I'm not going there.
I'm just thinking like Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
You're just thinking of all the drinks.
Yeah.
That's crazy time, man. Mardi Gras
I
is nuts.
do think it's interesting that Mardi Gras is like this huge, it's like one of the biggest examples of debauchery in the world. I think maybe second only to Carnival, and both of them are religiously motivated.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was trying to explain that to someone.
Halloween in Iceland is Oskudagur, and it's held in February or March on Ash Wednesday. Kids get the day off school, dress up in all sorts of costumes, though not scary ones, and go singing in stores for exchange for candy.
Penn Jillette does
But
Chiquita Banana Day on Ash Wednesday. He puts the Chiquita banana sticker on his forehead because it's just as silly as the ashes.
Yeah. I always forget. That it's Ash Wednesday, and I see people walking around with crap all over their face. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, last year you walked around with a water gun and was squirting people in the head with.
Get that shit off your face.
Take a shower.
some like face wipes.
Yeah.
You got something right there.
Oh, man.
No, whatever people want to do.
Well, right. That's kind of the response of the Chiquita Banana Day is like, look, I'm going to put something silly on my forehead too. You know why? Because I can.
But I can't support Chiquita Banana though. We have to come up with something else.
Okay, Dole bananas. I don't
No,
know.
no, can't do that either.
Organic banana.
Still, same companies can't do that.
Yeah.
We got to move away from bananas.
Okay. Avocados. Something.
I like avocados.
Mm-hmm.
We might be on to something.
The point is,
Why does it have to be fruit? Why are you so dead set on fruit?
Because none of us have eaten today.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can pick it up through the microphones, but my stomach's going.
Oh God, I know. And the first thing I'm doing when I get out of here is eating something.
what's the devastation of the hurricane? It's wiped out our food supplies. We're stranded.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, we're not. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Wait, I was without power. But
So
anyway,
did
moving
you
on.
guys? Was your estimation of the local news coverage of the hurricane that it was awful and just hyping it up. And they were just, doom, I say, doom, it's coming, prepare, put a snorkel on your dog.
You do read the oatmeal. Yeah, no, it was exactly that. I went up to Richmond.
I think the guy that writes the oatmeal, he must be on the East Coast. He's got to be.
He's got to be. My girlfriend and I, we took our cats and went up with a friend to Richmond, stayed at a hotel. Just because we live in Ghent, and they were talking about 10-foot sea swells, and I was like, that puts Ghent 8 feet underwater. We're Norfolk itself is only 7 feet above sea level. Ghent is 2 or 3.
They lied. They were wrong.
I know there was no flooding in our apartment.
Yeah, somebody put signs all over the areas around here. It's the street here and all the parking lots are 6 feet below sea level, and they're like, whatever. It was funny because they did blow everything out of proportion. Weather Channel, there's a video that's floating around now that shows that the Weather Channel guy was filming live down in Virginia Beach, and there's a bunch of kids that ran behind him
streakers.
And pulled off their pants so you could see everything flopping in his ass and everything.
Yeah.
It was awesome. The dude was just still reporting and not.
We don't know Jason's highlight.
Yeah. I was like, why didn't I do that? No.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw it on YouTube the next day.
Did you see the Pennsylvania one where the guy's asking people on the street what they're doing, and she's like, I'm getting drunk. She was already drunk, so she's like, woo, running down the street, and the newscaster guy turns back to the camera and goes, yeah, the streets are empty, but the bars are full. I was like, yeah.
It was
that's my hurricane preparedness, man.
Yeah, right.
You buy toilet paper and twice as much beer as you think you're gonna need.
Yeah. Our hurricane preparedness, we bought an extra gallon of water and some peanut butter crackers and a thing of chips and salsa that we ended up eating way before the hurricane even started.
It's a hurricane. You need chips and salsa.
Yeah.
We bought 2 extra crack rocks, a case of Dr. Pepper. You got to have stuff to bargain with. Come on.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Right. When the hurricane trashes the economy, crack is going to be
Crack
currency.
is going to be key because you can make that in your bathtub. Anyway, moving on with the show.
Can't make it in your bathtub.
The crack economy.
You make crack on your stove.
Then you're using the wrong tub.
Oh God.
Well, I think the only thing more reprehensible than the local news coverage of the hurricane was the politicians saying God did it. God did it for a reason as judgment on gotta listen to us.
Why can't God just do it? Why does it have to be a reason?
God did such a piss poor job with this hurricane. He didn't even put out the fires in the swamp.
Yeah, way to go, God.
Yeah.
I didn't even lose power, God, so
Well, I did.
I'm not impressed.
Y'all are just asking for it.
I am.
I know.
I mean, because with your statement about the swamp, God created such a perfect environment that you can have fire in a swamp.
That
There's
doesn't
no
get put out
land
with
in a
rain.
swamp. It's all swampy.
I know. I was joking about that recently. I was like, only here would a swamp catch on fire.
But my
it's a
favorite part
fucking
about
swamp,
it
man.
is all the stories, and who cares if they're true or not? They're fun. Of all the lost nuclear warheads that are lost within that area.
What?
Yeah. We'll pull it up.
So glad I'm leaving.
I just want the fire to get to it because what's going to happen?
There are nuclear warheads
Buried deep
in the Great Dismal Swamp.
Or in that area somewhere. I'll pull up the thing after the show.
Jesus Christ.
I did not know that.
I'm sure it's all myth. And
Do you remember when you
lies.
texted me right after the earthquake happened?
No.
Because the earthquake happened the same day we recorded the last episode.
Oh, wait, yeah, I do remember. But go ahead.
He texted me. I go on my break and I'm like, I look at my my phone and I get a text like 4 texts from Jason.
Woo!
And one of them is, God's mad we were talking about his son.
That's true.
We were talking smack.
Yeah.
God showed up.
But the other text was that this shows that the prayer thing in Texas with Rick Perry worked, because they didn't talk about anything other than changing the problems of America. And everyone who put that event on thinks the problem with America is in D.C. That's why they're running for office, and that's why they're trying to change it. So, because they said, God, please, we're going to put our energies into this, we got to change the problem. Earthquake shakes it up. Hurricane comes and makes it wet.
Oh, boy.
What? I'm just saying. They'll make everything.
That's God at his most badass.
Yeah, right.
He's just sending a message, so that's why she's saying that.
God at his most badass. Doesn't even turn off the power at my house.
Because you don't believe in him. If you believed in him, your power would be gone.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. You only see...
No, the way it works is I live on the same grid as the hospital across the street, so they do pretty good.
Yeah,
What I'm
right.
just saying is, like...
They have a pretty robust network.
The people who felt the earthquake were the ones who were supposed to receive the warning. The people who are going to see the signs are the only people who are the people who believe. If you don't believe, you don't see the signs. You're not looking for them. And
You
if
know
you
what
didn't,
that's
and if you didn't feel the earthquake, you're good with God. So there's
You know
no
what that's
worries.
called? That's called confirmation bias.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
just
called,
saying.
I'm looking for something, I'm going to see it. I'm going to ignore everything that contradicts it, and I'm just going to see what I want to see.
I was thinking the other day, like,
So what does that mean with the green screen?
Green screen is an act of God.
you know, like if you were a guy who could sort of predict the weather 200 years ago, you know, like, and you like sort of you knew something was off the coast, you know, because the hurricane was Saturday, right? Thursday and Friday were beautiful, beautiful days. But if you were good enough at predicting the weather 200 years ago, you could have been the voice of God then, like, nah, you better listen to me, or God's gonna bring the wrath. He's gonna bring the thunder. I'm telling you. No, what are you kidding me? It's beautiful out. Nothing's
Or
gonna
burned
happen.
as a witch.
Or burned as a witch. Right.
Those sort of
There's
things
that.
can go one of two ways.
If you piss off the wrong person.
Yeah, right?
I mean, look just locally with Witch Duck
That's
Road.
true. I forgot about burned as a witch.
Yeah, right.
Not good.
Worst career decision ever.
Yeah. Damn it. I thought I was going to be the voice of God. Instead, I was burned as a witch.
Yeah. How much time we got left?
You got 10.
10 minutes?
Isn't that basically what happened to Joan of Arc, right? She heard voices and led armies for France, and then
Was burned as a witch. Yeah. Yeah. It's because she pretended to be a man, though.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Can't do that. But I mean, they burned everyone as a witch back then.
All right, well, before we
You got
go,
a mole
we
on your
gotta
face, burned as a witch.
we gotta give some props to who is it? The mayor of New York for his 9/11 ceremony at
The one where religious people
what was
were
that
not...
news story? Yeah, they're having
I can pull it up
a
here.
commemorative ceremony. Do you have that on your?
I believe I have it
It's
right
in
here.
Yep.
In Facebook.
Yeah,
His
Mayor Bloomberg's 9/11.
exclusion spurs
Yeah,
outrage.
9/11 exclusion.
So yeah, essentially, yeah, he excluded religious leaders from, like, participating in the whole thing.
I say awesome.
Yep.
Good on him.
Yep,
Fuck 'em.
excellent.
They don't deserve
Fuck
to be
'em.
there. It's a secular thing, and as soon as you get, of course, somebody on the God Squad is going to want to be there and evangelize and proselytize and try to make it an issue about faith, and it isn't. It isn't about that.
Well, I think they did it because the flip side of it, they did it because of the Muslim community. They don't want anybody from that community in there because there's there's already the big outrage of them trying to set up their places of worship within miles of Ground Zero. I think so. What they did was made the instead of making an issue where the government would support all religions except for the Muslim community, they just said no religious people, and that way it will effectively not allow Muslims in there.
I don't know if it was. Well, that might be true, but at the end of the day, kick them all out. They don't deserve to be there.
No, true.
They shouldn't be there.
I mean, everybody has a right to be whatever, but if they're going, but that's why I'm thinking that they did this not because of his. He doesn't want Christians there, and he doesn't want whatever his belief is there. It would have just been a kick in the eye to have Muslims there, and I think that's the viewpoint of it.
So they're afraid that people will object to a Muslim presence so much that they're going to exclude all the Christian religions.
Yeah.
Well, they have to.
All right. Okay.
I mean, they have to.
it's the same. It's the same argument of. I mean, if you can't exclude one, especially if you're a government official, you can't, legally exclude one group of people, especially when it comes to religion. So the best thing to do is either not exclude any of them and allow the protests and all the crap that comes after it, or say no religious people and deal with the.
Well, whatever the motivation, I'm happy with the outcome.
Yeah, I mean it's at least Bloomberg has a better understanding of the Establishment Clause than Rick Perry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he would probably just say only Christians can come and pray.
Yeah, it's going to be a prayer event for all faiths to pray to Jesus.
Yeah,
That's what Rick Perry said. It was
That's what
it
he
was a
said.
prayer and fasting event for all people of faith to come and bow down to Jesus without really thinking what that means. So at least he understands if you exclude one, you got to exclude them all. And my sentiments with Bob, fuck them.
No, it has no place.
Well, I guess you have to define what it meant to have religious leaders there. Were the religious leaders there to give speeches? Were they there just to hang out? What's the
I'm sure
level
sure
of-
they were there to hang out, but I mean, like, they weren't there commentating. They weren't there doing that.
But
And,
again,
I mean,
and
put a microphone in front-
you may agree with it just because it does exclude an element of society that we don't personally agree with. But the bigger picture of it, I mean, if we're going to get in the political discussion of it, the bigger picture is if they can exclude everyone from events, one day we're going to be a part of that everyone.
Those guys, those religious leaders that have been excluded, the ones they're talking about that are crying the loudest, are the same people that you give them a crowded room and stick a microphone in their face, and it's not going to be about whatever the issue is. It's going to be an opportunity for them to evangelize and proselytize and try and get their message out.
Yeah.
Case in point.
Well, no, and nobody's arguing that. Nobody's arguing that they don't have the best interest of the society and people and the event in their mind. They have their agenda that they need to push. But what I'm saying is, and again, if governments start excluding, even if it comes down to religion, whether you believe in them or not, it's just one step closer to start excluding more people and more event. And it becomes...
yes and no.
They're
Excluding the establishment of religion, even if that includes the establishment of non-religion, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, of course, because it falls in your ideal.
No, even
because
if it comes to like excluding the the non-establishment of religion. That's like even if it comes down to excluding us to talk about like religion,
That's fine.
I'm fine.
That's not the place for it.
That's not the place for it. Exactly.
It is not the forum to espouse ideological and philosophical
even if you
views.
want to fall down as the weird sort of false dichotomy of secularism and religion, but yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if the event is them being banned or excluded from coming just to hang out,
Well, they're not being excluded to hang out, I'm sure. Like, they're allowing religious people. I'm sure there were tons of religious people there. They weren't allowed to, like, commentate.
Yeah, if they can't. They're not. That's great. I mean, anybody who's putting on an event has that right to exclude whoever they want because they're setting up the program. But I'm just saying it. If it was to the point of where we said earlier, if it was just to hang out, then that would be wrong on government parts because that becomes a slippery slope. It doesn't matter if it's religious or not. It could be a group of, making up something like a zombie society. If they exclude zombie society from attending, it's not in the best interest of freedom.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what they were doing.
It didn't. They didn't say zombie society couldn't attend. You can go. Just you can't stand up in front of the microphone and lead the group in prayer.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Just the way it would be inappropriate for me to stand up in the microphone and say, "Hey guys, there's no God."
Well, I don't know. You come into my home every week with a microphone
But you
and say
invited
that.
me. You invited me. I'm like a vampire.
That was
microphone.
the number one mistake that I.
You let me in. You
Your
asked
microphone.
Me in.
You're like a vampire. Once I invite you in, it's
I know,
over.
I can come in whenever I want.
We just come in and all these microphones are set up. There's cameras pointed, and we just figured this is what we're doing.
I just walked in and sat down here. This is what I thought you wanted me to do.
See, this is how the cult begins. Anyway, that's the show.
Yep. That's yeah. So, what are your thoughts on doomsday predictions concerning earthquakes and firestorms and hail that has fire inside it, like one of the plagues? Let us know. You can email us, nonreligious at zombie-popcorn.com. Yeah, I know. I'm getting to it.
The meetup. I like whispering into the microphone.
Yeah,
that's good.
because it's not really a whisper. You can give us a call, the ZPN hotline, 757-337-2195. Do that, because that'd be an excellent thing to do. You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/thisnonreligiouslife.
And give us money.
Ignore the man in front of the curtain.
In front of the curtain.
And in case you haven't been paying attention for the last 3 minutes when people have been whispering into the microphone, we're having a meetup.
What day is that?
September 8th. So it's actually
10 days.
God, 10 days away from
Wait,
8 days away.
Oh, that's right. 8 days away. Because we are in the future.
Yeah, we're in the future right now. 8 days from when you're watching this, unless you're watching.
And
a
where's that gonna be?
Wait, what if it's like weeks later?
Yeah, right.
September.
Rebroadcast.
Just tell the date.
September 8th. At
That's 2011.
we're all going to be getting together at Tortilla West, which is on Orapac Street, here in Norfolk, Virginia. So far, it
Google it.
looks like we have like 20 or something
Yeah.
people attending. It's going to be great.
Good times.
Well,
good
people who
times.
say they're going to attend.
It'll be nachos and tacos and burritos and
They're mine too.
all sorts of
And I think they have
wonderful
like
stuff.
Beer.
$2
Great.
PBR tall boys.
Oh my god.
I don't like PBR.
That's my hipster beer of choice.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't like it.
And so yeah, come out, hang out, have some food, have some laughs. It'll be great. Also, iTunes. We're up on iTunes. We have our own feed, so you can go download all our episodes, listen to them, write a good review.
This is not where the hate mail comes in.
This is not where the hate mail comes in. Send all the hate mail to our Zombie Popcorn email address. And yeah, I guess that's just about. Oh, wait, everything is now available on zombiepopcorn.com.
Zombie-popcorn.
The whole website is getting revamped, so you can just go to zombie-popcorn.com and you can check out this show, The Talking Dead, and The New Architects.
And apparently I see an email that I just received in. There'll be another show starting very soon.
Oh, sweet. Good. So all sorts of shows to come watch and check out. So until next week.
And I didn't sneeze today.
No sneeze.
I didn't sneeze. That was embarrassing. I can't believe you didn't edit that out.
People liked it.
Oh my god.
We got a
That was
comment on
awful.
Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.